As far as I can see, there's two main reasons for procrastination. The first one is you don't know what to do. So you have this big book in front of you, but nobody's ever written a book. They've written a sentence, and then that sentence is accumulated over time into pages and paragraphs, and then a book appears. Or you've reviewed a book, you've looked at the edit, you've made a decision about the color for the front cover, but you do what's called a next action. I'm procrastinating over a task. What is the next physical action that I can do that pushes me toward that goal? I need to write an email. Well, you better go and open your email client, right? If you don't have your email client open, it is impossible for you to send the email. Well, actually before that, I need to sit down at my desk. But actually before that, I might need to put my pants on. Okay, pants are on. Hooray, I'm moving. I'm down at the desk. All right, there we go. I opened Instagram. Fuck, okay, close Instagram. Email client. That's the next action. So completing a marathon is just a ton of steps, one in front of the other. Like it's just one foot in front of the other. Do this really, really big thing by breaking it down into small chunks. That's the first reason, in my opinion, for procrastinating. There is definitely a sense that focusing our attention on a small step kind of reveals the smallness of our lives. That like, oh my God, I said that I sat down at my desk, like how pitiful. Is this really how small I've become? I should have this big cathedral of achievements and monumental stuff. You go, well, yeah, but how do you get there? Okay, well, we've got to lay the first brick. So humility, being humble and compassionate to yourself. Okay, I did a thing today. I went for a walk. Felt like crap. I ate this bad sushi last night and I did one thing. One small thing that moved me toward my goal. Well, the beautiful thing about a lot of stuff on the internet is that it is archived for the rest of time. So you can go back and watch my first ever episode, which is me in my old office for the nightclub stuff that I did. And my business partner yelled at me afterward because I kicked everybody out so that I could record. He's like, you can't keep doing this. It's not your studio, it's our office. And it's a single iPhone and a blue Yeti USB mic that looks like a big white dildo. And it's up and over the top of the desk. And it's me and a friend from the gym talking about how he might row the Atlantic. It wasn't the first step. The first step was deciding what name it was going to be and then driving to Gateshead to buy the Yeti secondhand from some dude on eBay. And that Yeti went on to do 500 episodes of my podcast. And then we changed to nicer microphones or something. So everybody's journey begins embarrassingly small. And I think just having a little bit of compassion for yourself, having the humility to go, the first step that I do is going to be so small that it almost wouldn't register on the ledger of accomplishments. It would be minute. Going, okay, that's still a win. First thing, you don't know what to do. Second thing, you know what to do, but you don't know how to do it. So you can sit down in front of the spreadsheet and you know that you've got to do a VLOOKUP on this spreadsheet. You have no idea how to do a VLOOKUP. ChatGPT, Google. Ring a boss, ring a friend that is an expert in Excel. So for me, when I look at my procrastination, it occurs due to usually one of two things. Poorly defined next physical action. I don't know exactly what the next smallest step is that moves me toward my goal. I do know that, and I sit down and I don't know how to do it. Like if you don't know how to open a file, you don't know how to unzip a file, it doesn't matter how many files you've got in front of you, if you can't unzip them, you can't see them. So okay, I need to learn, hey dude, I got this zip file, where do I go to get it? Oh, okay, thank you. And then we've got moving. So it's either a action issue or a skill issue. And both of those are usually pretty simply fixed. Okay. The upside of never trying is never having to feel the pain of failure. Right? If you never face that discomfort, like if I tell myself that all women are terrible, then I'm excused of ever having to talk to a woman. And as a result, I never have to feel the pain of rejection. If I tell myself that everything is shit or that things will never get better, I'm excused of ever having to try at anything. It's more comfortable to get fatalistic and call it pragmatism. Like the cope is framing hope as pathetic and embarrassing and optimism as delusion. This is cynicism, right? Cynicism. And the opposite of that is enthusiasm.
Stop right there. The enemy is not laziness. The enemy is the moment right before you start. That tiny moment where discomfort shows up and you make a decision without even realizing you made one. Fix that moment and your whole week changes. Because what you call lazy is usually not a personality. It is a pattern, and the pattern is simple. You are avoiding discomfort. Now, discomfort sounds dramatic, but it is usually subtle. It can be the tight feeling in your chest when you open a blank document. It can be the mental fog when you look at a task you do not know how to do. It can be the little spike of fear when you think, what if I fail? What if I look stupid? What if this does not work? It can be boredom. It can be effort. It can be vulnerability. It can even be the discomfort of success, because success forces you to level up and changes how people see you and how you see yourself. Your brain is built to reduce discomfort in the short term. It is trying to keep you safe right now. That is why procrastination feels relieving for a second. You delay the task, and your nervous system relaxes. You scroll, you snack, you clean, you plan, you reorganize. Some of those even look productive, which makes the trap harder to notice. But what you are really doing is choosing short-term relief. The problem is, the discomfort does not disappear. It moves. When you avoid a task today, you feel better now, but you buy a heavier feeling later. You buy stress because the deadline is closer. You buy guilt because you know you avoided. You buy regret because you did not move. Over time, you accumulate an awful lot of discomfort. That is why avoidance is such a bad trade. It feels like relief, but it is a loan with interest. So here is the shift. The moment you catch yourself procrastinating, do not ask what is wrong with me. Ask what discomfort am I trying to avoid right now? Because once you can name the discomfort, you can handle it. If you cannot name it, it controls you. If you are avoiding writing, the discomfort might be the fear that your work will not be good. If you are avoiding applying for a job, the discomfort might be rejection. If you are avoiding the gym, the discomfort might be effort or embarrassment. If you are avoiding a hard conversation, the discomfort might be conflict or losing approval. If you are avoiding learning something new, the discomfort might be feeling incompetent. Notice what changes when you name it. You stop being a broken person and you start being a person having a normal human reaction to discomfort. That removes shame. And shame is what keeps people stuck. Shame makes you hide. Hiding makes you avoid. Avoidance makes you stay the same. So instead of fighting yourself, you build a new relationship with discomfort. You treat discomfort like a signal that you are near something that matters, a signal that you are near growth. The goal is not to remove discomfort. The goal is to stop letting discomfort decide for you. Now, the reason this matters is because discomfort avoidance creates 3 common traps. Trap 1 is distraction disguised as productivity. You clean, you organize, you research, you plan, you watch videos. It feels like progress, but it is not the thing. It is a safer thing. Trap 2 is waiting for the perfect mood. You tell yourself you will start when you feel ready. But ready is not a place you arrive. Ready is a feeling, and feelings are unstable. Trap 3 is identity damage. Every time you avoid, you quietly teach your brain, we do not follow through. And that becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But the good news is that this is fixable fast, because the fix is not complicated. You do not need a new personality. You need a method for that moment right before you start. In the next part, I will break down the first practical reason people procrastinate that Chris mentioned. You do not know the next action. The task is too big, too vague, and your brain freezes. We will shrink it to the next physical step so you can move immediately. Here is the first major reason you procrastinate. You do not know what to do next. You have a big goal in your head, but you do not have the next physical action on the ground. This is why starting a big project feels like standing at the foot of Mount Everest. You see the whole mountain. Your brain tries to calculate the entire climb. It feels huge, heavy, endless. So your nervous system backs away, but nobody writes a book. They write a sentence, and that sentence becomes another sentence, then paragraphs, then pages, then a book appears. That is the truth for everything. A business is not built in a day. It is built in small actions stacked over time. A body is not transformed in one workout. It is transformed in repetitions. So the fix is simple. Shrink your attention to the next physical action. Not the whole project, the next action. Ask yourself this question. What is the next physical action I can do that moves me toward the thing I am avoiding? Physical means it is something you can see, something you can start, something that has a clear beginning. If you need to send an email, the next physical action is not send the email. It is open your email client. If you need to work on a document, the next action is open the document. If you need to study, the next action is open the material and do the first problem. If you need to go to the gym, the next action is put on your shoes. Then you go one step smaller. If you cannot open the document, maybe the next action is sit at the desk. If you cannot sit at the desk, maybe the next action is clear one space. If you cannot do that, maybe the next action is stand up. This is not silly. This is how momentum works. Motion creates more motion. The goal is to create movement because movement lowers the emotional weight of the task. Now, here is a key point. The first step to change is often embarrassingly small. That is why people do not do it. They think small steps are pathetic. They want a dramatic transformation. But dramatic transformations are rare. Real change begins with humility. So if your next action feels too small to matter, that is a good sign. That means it is probably the correct start. The correct start is small enough that your nervous system does not panic. In the next part, we deal with the second reason for procrastination. You know what to do, but you do not know how to do it. That is a skill issue, and skill issues can be solved quickly. The second major reason you procrastinate is this. You know what to do, but you do not know how to do it. This is not laziness. This is uncertainty, and uncertainty is uncomfortable. For example, you sit down at the spreadsheet and you know you need to do some function, but you have no idea how. Or you want to start editing, but you do not know what software settings to use. Or you want to start a business, but you do not know what offer to make. Or you want to start lifting weights, but you do not know what routine is best. When you do not know how, your brain tries to protect you by avoiding, because trying and failing feels like pain. So instead, you clean the house, you scroll, you do something you are already competent at, because competence feels comfortable. The fix is a 10-minute skill rescue. 10 minutes, not 2 hours, not a deep research spiral, 10 minutes. You pick the smallest skill you need to move forward and you solve that. You Google it, you ask ChatGPT, you call a friend, you watch one short tutorial. You learn the one thing that unlocks the next action. Then you return immediately to the task. This is important. Do not turn learning into another form of procrastination. Learning must be used instantly. Now, there is a deeper layer that Chris mentioned. Sometimes you know the next action. Sometimes you know how to do it, and you still avoid. Why? Because you are afraid of what you will find out about yourself if you try. If you try and fail, you might have to face the pain of failure. If you try and get rejected, you have to feel rejection. If you try and your work is not good, you have to face that your skills need work. That is uncomfortable. So the mind creates an excuse story. It might sound like cynicism. It might sound like everything is pointless. It might sound like hope is embarrassing. It might sound like optimism is delusion. These stories protect you from the risk of trying, but protection has a cost. The cost is your growth. The cost is your future. So here is the replacement. Enthusiasm, not fake hype. Enthusiasm as a decision to show up. Enthusiasm is the belief that effort is worth it even if the result is not guaranteed. Your job is not to be fearless. Your job is to act with discomfort present. That is courage. Courage is discomfort plus action. In the final part, I will give you 3 follow-through steps you can apply today. They will help you name the discomfort, shrink the next action, and solve the skill problem without spiraling. That is how you stop calling yourself lazy and start building momentum. Now we close with action, because the whole point of this channel is follow through. Motivation is fine, but motivation fades. Systems and actions change your life. Here are 3 steps. Use them the moment you feel yourself avoiding. Step 1. Name the discomfort. Do not name yourself. When you catch yourself procrastinating, say this out loud. I am avoiding discomfort. Then ask, what discomfort is it? Fear of failure, fear of judgment, overwhelm, uncertainty, boredom, effort. This sounds simple, but it is powerful because it breaks the spell. It removes shame. You stop attacking your identity. You start diagnosing the moment. Step 2. Choose the next physical action and make it small. Ask, what is the next physical action that moves me forward? Not the whole project. The next step. Open the document. Write 1 sentence. Put on shoes. Open the email client. Write the subject line. Sit at the desk. Clear 1 space. Start the timer. Make it small enough that you cannot argue with it. The goal is to start because starting collapses the discomfort. Once you begin, the task becomes real, not imagined. Step 3. If it is a skill issue, solve it in 10 minutes and return. If you do not know how, do a 10-minute skill rescue. Search the exact question. Ask a friend. Use a quick tutorial. Use ChatGPT. Then return immediately to the task and do the next physical action. Do not turn learning into avoidance. Learning is only useful if it creates action. If you do these 3 steps, you will build a new identity, not someone who feels motivated all the time, someone who can feel discomfort and still move. That is the promise. You are not lazy, you are avoiding discomfort. And once you can name it, shrink it, and solve it, you can break the loop. Now pick one thing you have been avoiding and do the next physical action right now. Do not wait. Start small. Start now.